Hey everybody, this is Michael from Replica Airguns with a .43 caliber paintball pistol tabletop review. This particular one is the Umarex T4E Glock 17 Gen 5, and it is a CO2, again, .43 caliber blowback paintball pistol. I have reviewed other series of the Umarex T4E paintball pistols, quite a few of them actually, so check out those paintball video reviews. Now this gun is available in both our Canada and our US online Replica Airgun stores over at replicaairguns.ca for Canada and replicaairguns.us for the US. I will put links in the description so you can find them easily. Let's get right into the specifications. This is a .43 caliber paintball pistol. It also shoots .43 caliber rubber balls. So I'll show you what the rubber ball looks like, right? So .43 caliber, so it's not 45, it's not 40, kind of right in the middle, but you know, you do have that larger barrel opening, much larger than airsoft or steel BB or pellet. It does use standard 12-gram CO2 cartridges, shoots in semi-auto with a blowback action. It has a metal and polymer design, so you're going to find a metal slide with a polymer frame and a mostly metal magazine. Because of the larger caliber, it has an 8-round dropout full-size metal magazine, and this product weighs in at 1.6 pounds or 726 grams. Now on some websites it says it's single action, but I'm going to say it's more like a double action trigger. Now if you've looked into Glock triggers, some people say they're double action, some people say they're single action. They're kind of a hybrid. Most of the trigger engagement happens when the slide comes back and resets, but with Glocks, my understanding is there's just this little final bit that you have to pull that internal striker back to make it shoot. So instead of just releasing the striker, with a Glock, at least my understanding is that you still need to pull that striker back slightly and then it releases. So that would kind of technically make it double action. In the case of this gun, the trigger is doing a lot of the work. It's actually chambering around into the barrel, but there's a little bit of work the trigger has to do. It does feel more like a double action trigger. It is a little longer than a single action trigger would be or than a standard Glock trigger would be. So it's not going to feel exactly like a Glock trigger. Now it does have a claimed FPS of around 350 to 400. I'd be very surprised to get 400 FPS out of this product, but 350, even that would be pretty amazing. So we'll find out when we do the field test shooting video, which I have not done yet, but I have done field test shooting videos for similar products like the TPM1 right here, right? This is the closest thing we had to a Glock in paintball pistols previously to this new product. The fact that Umarex began licensing Umarex products. So what was nice about it is that they allowed for that to happen, whereas before you could just use something that kind of looked like a Glock, had a similar shape. You know, for Glock users, they could use this for training. I'll show you this a little bit later. Now, because Umarex does own the Glock license, they're allowed to put that on these products. Glock has agreed to that, obviously. Took a few decades for that to happen, but that happened several years back. And now Umarex is the license holder for Glock products. So we're seeing air guns, BB guns, airsoft guns, and now paintball guns coming out with Glock licensing. You're going to notice this gun has white dot sights front and back, although they're not adjustable. And it also has a Picatinny rail allowing for accessory attachments like lasers, tack lights, things like that. The total length of this gun is 7.95 inches, which is 202 millimeters, and it has a barrel length of 4.21 inches or 107 millimeters. Again, this gun is distributed by Umarex, manufactured by T4E, which by the way stands for Training for Engagement, and it's made in Germany. So how that works is Umarex, for the most part, is a distributor and licensor of products. They don't make all their products, perhaps they make some of them in-house, but most of the products are going to be purchased through other companies that manufacture them, and then Umarex will put the licensing on those guns, or actually the manufacturer will put the licensing on those guns on Umarex's behalf, and they'll sell them. So T4E is really the manufacturer for this product. I just wanted to point out this paintball gun is designed primarily as a law enforcement and military training tool to recreate a safe training gun with as much precision and realism as possible. As with all of the T4E products, they do come in these nice cases. Umarex has put their branding on that one there as well, which is nice. They're foam lined. You do have this cleaning tool, okay, right here, and you have the manual, right? So here's some information on it. Right, velocity 350. So we'll see if we get that. That'll be pretty hot if we do get that. Right, front sight muzzle. It's just got the listing of what the parts are. Right, basically showing you that you need to use the trigger safety as a working trigger safety. So that's cool. How to load the magazine. right? Where to put the paintballs or rubber balls. Okay, what is this here? Remove the screw. So this is, I guess, to, what is this for? Replace the screws, installing the lanyard. Okay, so if you want to put a lanyard loop on it, not sure if you'd want to. Okay. So different things you can do with it. Sighting it. Okay. How to clean it. All that kind of stuff. Now I do want to compare it to a couple products. So this is the Gen 5 Glock. It's basically the Glock 17 Gen 5. You'll notice it looks a little different. This is the Glock 17 Gen 4. So I would say that Gen 5 is definitely a little more, you know, it's contoured. You'll notice the front sort of beveled there at the front, which could help with, you know, putting it in and out of a holster or something like that, right? So it's a little bit more ergonomic, perhaps. But it's typical Glock design, right? You're not going to mistake it for something other than a Glock. They really don't change that much. It's kind of like the new iPhone versus the old iPhone. They pretty much look the same. You just get a few new bells and whistles or small changes, but pay an arm and a leg for those changes, right? All right, so we also have the T4E. Oh, by the way, this is just an airsoft pistol, not paintball. And this is a paintball pistol, okay? So uses a very similar magazine. Now, I tried it in the other one. It doesn't quite work, but you'll notice they're very similar. They have different butt plates. This one doesn't really work, and I tried it. It just didn't work. It kind of fit, but this butt plate, it doesn't really fit in there properly. Like, I don't think this will fit in there either. Kind of, but not really. So, but they do use very similar, right? Similar magazines, okay? If you look at them. This one doesn't have a lot of CO2 in it. It might fire for us, kind of, but we're not even getting full blowback. But you'll notice the trigger does, you know, here. So if you haven't done the blowback or the actual rack the slide, you won't get any, the hammer, the internal striker hammer hasn't gone back. So you don't really get, see, won't engage, okay? That's how it kind of works. But, you know, this is all we had prior to the Umarex getting the licensing and producing this gun through T4E. So that's pretty nice. This was the, again, this is the TPM1, and I have reviewed this product. So they should perform similar. So if you're interested to see, before I make the shooting video for this gun, if you're interested in see performance, this should perform similarly. All right, so at this point, I'm going to do a quick walk around, show you this gun up nice and close. It really does look great. I mean, T4E did a great job for Umarex making this gun look really good. The slide has virtually no wiggle. Got your white dot sights front and back, sort of a box white there and then dot in the front. Glock licensing throughout, .43 caliber. You got your pick rail. Notice the large barrel, that's the .43 caliber opening. Right, Glock licensing on the pistol grip, right? Side catch release. Will lock back in the last shot. Oh, I always do that with these guns. They're spring loaded, which is kind of cool. So watch what's going to happen. It just shoots out. And luckily I didn't hit my foot that time, but it comes out really, really quick. So you gotta remember that. So it's going to make loading these guns a little bit, you know, different, I guess slightly, but they will pop out pretty nice. You've got some warning instructions on the bottom. You have the serial number on a plate there. Really nice. There's your magazine. We'll not do that again. So here's your magazine, 8 rounds. Got the follower. You just basically twist this. Oh, this is cool. So you open it up, tighten it up down on the CO2 as much as possible, and then you pull it down the other way, and that'll put just the right amount of pressure to puncture that CO2 and put it in there. So I'll let you see that up there nice and close. So tighten that all the way up, and you'll notice my finger is going to get pushed a little bit as I rotate this so it moves up higher. Okay, that's kind of cool. New design, not the same as the other ones. All right, let's take a look at this side. All right, it says your T4E serial number again. Right. Warning instructions. Under there, I like it when it's under there. You don't see it so much. Right. You've got the open ejection port if you want to see through it. You can see through it there. All right. Let's talk pros and cons. I can't really discuss the performance yet, but again, check out the TPM1 if you're interested in what we can probably expect from the Glock 17 Gen 5. All All right, it has really great weight and a solid feel to it. It's got the full metal slide that locks back on the last shot. You have that metal, heavy, full-size dropout magazine that adds some additional weight to the gun. This is great for Glock shooters if you're looking for a training weapon, something that's a little bit more economical to shoot, that you could shoot in a variety of locations a lot easier. Then this would be great. Everything works pretty much like the real gun, so again, great as a training tool. You've got easy to see white dot sights front and back, typical to what you'd find on a real Glock. And you have that working trigger safety, which is a nice touch. The fit and finish is excellent. As I showed you, the slide is super snug, virtually no wiggle at all. Again, that magazine spring really shoots the magazine out, so be warned a little bit, but that's kind of a positive thing. You're not going to get it stuck in there at all when you're trying to do a reload. And the .43 caliber barrel opening adds to the realism, giving it more of a 40 cal look, a little larger than 9mm, a little larger than 40 cal, but smaller than a 45. I love that it's fully Glock licensed via Umarex and that it comes in a nice hard shell case. All right, a few cons. The trigger is a bit heavier, not as light as a real Glock, a little longer, more of a double action trigger in function than what you'd find on the Glock. Glock triggers are pretty smooth and fairly light. And again, not too long either. The magazine only holds 8 rounds, so you're going to need extra magazines for sure if you're going to use this in some sort of a simulated shooting environment. The blowback action is not full blowback, more like a typical half blowback BB gun. All right, so to wrap this up, this gun is available in both our Canada and US online Replica airgun stores. Again, I'll put links in the description so you can easily purchase this gun in Canada and the US. If you're interested in other products, air guns, BB guns, airsoft guns, blank guns, and other accessories, take advantage of those Canada and US stores too. Now, before you head out, make sure you subscribe. Also, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I want to thank you for watching this video. Until next time, take care.